Applying and customizing transitions. You most probably know that transitions in video editing are very important and extremely useful. Here, you are going to focus on creating and customizing transitions. You will start from the basic video and audio faders. After you cover the concept of clip handlers and how they work, you will learn how to customize standard transitions. But my main aim here is to show you how you can create your own transitions by animating properties in the inspector, how to use the keyframe editor and the curve editor to further refine your transitions. You will also learn how to save a transition using the presets. Let's dive into transitions. And the first thing I want to show you is the fader handlers, which is not a transition. But I think it's important that you notice the difference between the fader handlers and a real transition. First of all, I would like you to set your workspace in this fashion. Come to the timeline view options, select the middle option to see only the thumbnail in the beginning, and extend your videos or make them bigger as much as you can. You can come over and adjust the audio, take it down or up, just to see the videos and the edit points. I'm gonna use these two clips over here, this one and the one that is previous. You can use any two clips you would like. So I'm gonna zoom in. I will use Alt and mouse scroll, as much as possible. Then using the trim tool, I'm gonna extend this clip just to have enough frames all around. Is no problem. This clip is really not moving much. I don't care about the handles of the clip. Can come over and just adjust them just like this, the way I like. Now I'm into habit when I'm working with transitions and I want to be precise. I'll put an in and out point and play back between the in and out point. Show you how. For the in point in the timeline, and come over here, for example, put an O. So I'm working on this cut and this cut. If you go to playback, you will find that you have play around to. We've seen that. And there is an option here, play in to out. And the shortcut is Alt /. Of course, if you are on the Mac, it's going to be Option /. And notice it will play from the in and out point. I also turn on the looping. It keeps on looping so I can see exactly what's happening. If you hover over a clip, you notice there is a marker at the beginning and a marker at the end. I'm not saying in and out point because that will change. Now, these markers are called the fader handlers. And all they do is to fade your clip from 0% opacity to 100% opacity. And at the end or the out point, they will fade it from 100% opacity to 0% opacity. It is not a transition. They're just fading your clip and you don't even have keyframes or anything. If you click on it and drag it, so I'm gonna bring the playhead, notice that it starts from 0% opacity. It happens that it's black because there is nothing under it, and then it increases to 100% opacity. At the end, if you click and drag, you will extend it, for example, and it starts from 100% opacity to 0%. Notice here, when you click and drag, it's showing you number of frames that this fader is working. So now it will take 18 frames to go from 100% to 0% opacity. Notice also this is not a transition because it hasn't used any of the handles of the clip. It hasn't used any frames that are outside the visible in and out point. Okay, guys? So now if you play from in and out, you notice that you have a very nice fade in and a very nice fade out. So it's fading into view and fading out of view. That's what they are called. Now you can, of course, come over here if I stop and use the handles for the previous clip and drag it, for example, for 15 frames or something like this. If you play now, you will think that you have a dip to black. You do not have a dip to black. Later on, we see dip to black. It just fade in and out. Let me show you even more. I will go for the selection, click and drag the clip up. So now if I press Shift, mouse scroll, I am on track 3. I will extend this clip just like this. I move it here and then extend it also from here. Don't care about the handles. This clip is almost still. Now from the bottom here, I'm going to remove the fader. Okay, so there is no more fading. And then if you notice what's happening, this clip will start at opacity 0% and increases opacity. Okay, it's the top clip, that's the one you are going to see. So actually this is the effect that you are creating, you know. So exactly here you are starting to composite, and at the end also you will start to, you know, fade it out, and you are compositing over here. Let me play it. Here you are. In the next lecture, we are going to work with the audio fader, and it's going to be a bit more interesting. The same way you have video faders for every video clip, you also have audio faders for the audio clips. Let's go to the beginning here, and I will scroll to zoom in with the Alt key or Option key on the Mac. We had put here a transition. Let's select the transition, just press backspace to delete only the transition. Now, if you hover, you will notice you have the fader handle at the beginning of the clip. You can click on it and drag it to the right, okay? And you notice you have the number of frames here. For example, this is 1 second now. Let's put it over here. Now, the fader operates on the volume. It will take the volume from 0 to 100% according to your volume that you have set in the clip volume over here. Of course, is the same as the bar. So now if you listen to it, we play it, it is a linear increase of the volume. Okay, pretty cool. But now it has another twist here for the volume. You have the small dot here. If you like, it's a keyframe, but actually is the one that will set a curve for the increase in volume. If you click on it, you can take it left and right, up and down, and actually create a certain curve. Or if you want to, it's an ease for the volume. So in this case, it's gonna easily increase the volume. So it's no more linear, it's just a curve. Now, if you play it, there's quite some difference, and this is pretty interesting. Notice, guys. Here you are. So you can adjust this curve the way you would like. You can take it the other way. So now you have almost an abrupt, and then it settles at 100% on the handle. I will undo this one. Now this is at the beginning of the clip. You can press end to go to the end, and let's also remove the transition from here. I hit backspace. Let's click on it and drag it to 1 second. For example, just over here. It's easy also to get to 1 second. I'm gonna click on the keyframe and just, you know, drag it to create a very nice curve. For example, something like this, the way you would like. If you play it, let's play it from here. Not bad at all, guys, right? Now, I suggest that you always use the faders and not the transition to ease in or ease out an audio clip. It's much nicer, by the way. Let's start working with the standard transitions in Resolve 15. Now, in general, a transition is applied on the edit point of the incoming and outgoing clip. But before you apply a transition, you need to check the handles for the clips. The handles are all the frames that are before the in point that are not visible within the timeline, and all the frames after the out point that are not visible in the timeline. To check the handles of the outgoing clip, for example, all you have to do is to click on it when you are in your trim mode. Now you can see here the rectangle or the white border. This is the left handle or the in-point handles, if you like, for the outgoing clip. And of course, on the right, you can see the out-point handles. Similarly, for the incoming clip, you can see the right handles after the out point and the left handles. If you do not have enough handles, the transition might not work, or the transition will fit only for the duration of the handles on the left and right. Go to the FX library. Let's bring it down. Okay, we can see it all. Within your toolbox, you have video transitions. Inside, you have dissolve, iris, motion, and wipes and shape. The most interesting are the dissolve. I like very much the motion and the wipes. They are very much in use. Let me show you the effect of the handles here. Let's take the simple cross dissolve. I click and drag and put it just in the middle. Okay. I will take the outgoing clip, right click on it and disable the clip. So you uncheck enable clip. The shortcut is D. So that's what's exactly happening. To be able to do a dissolve, the transition will use the frames within the handles. Notice now, this is the last frame of this clip. And then after that, I will use the right arrow. It is using the handles frames to dissolve. You notice? So make sure that the frames over here are normal. It's not like the guy with the camera is showing or there is something abnormal here. Now let's put it on. I press D, and similarly I press D over here to hide it. And notice it's using the frames within the handle on the left or the in point of the outgoing clip. So to do the dissolve, let's put them both on. You have a very simple dissolve. Now I will delete the transition, just backspace. And let's try, for example, the push. Okay. If I click and drag, you can put it on the left. That is the left of the edit point. That is the right of the edit point. And that is the center. Now notice the left is small because I don't have enough handles on the outgoing clip. And the right by default is 1 second. So I'm using the full 1 second. I have enough handles. You can put it in the middle here and you have your transition. Let's play in between in and out point. That will be Alt or Option on the Mac and /. Here you are. So you have a very nice push transition. The first thing you can do is to change the duration of the transition just from here. You can click on the border and drag it towards the edit point. You are reducing the duration. If you play now, you have reduced the timing. Okay, not bad. I will undo this. Now this was about applying the transition left, right or center and taking care of the handles. In the next lecture, I will show you how to customize this transition using the inspector. Now we applied the push transition over here. Let's pull this one up so we have more space on the timeline. Let's see how you can customize this transition without going into complicated stuff. If you select your transition and go to the inspector, we have seen that already. On the upper part, you have the transition settings, the duration in seconds or in frames, and the alignment. It can be center, the start, or the end of the edit point. And of course, you have the video transition style. In this case, we are using the push. On the lower part, you have the settings for the transition style. In this case, you can push it left, you can push it right, you can push it up or down the way you would like. Okay, I will leave it to left. And you have a certain color. This color is the color of the border. Notice you're creating a border here. So now if you scrub through, it's going to push with a border in between. But also you can add the feathering. Actually, it will feather the border. Here you are. Notice the border that was here has been feathered. Okay, so you can create as thick as you want the feathering here. Okay, pretty cool by the way. The most important here is the ease. It's about the smoothness of the transition. Notice in the timeline here, half of the transition has a white overlay. Well, actually, it's not the whole overlay that you care about. It's the line that is separating the overlay from no overlay, if you like. If you come to the ease here, and you can ease your clip in, meaning it's coming in smoothly. Now, notice what's happening. So it's going to start and smoothly come in and then comes out. Okay, let's play it from in and out point. You notice it comes smoothly in and comes out. Then you can smooth it out if you like. So now it's going to come in normally and then exit very smoothly. And that's very interesting. Here you are. You notice? Now the best is to ease it in and out if you like to. So it comes smoothly in and comes out smoothly out. This is the effect. And now there is something very interesting here, is the transition curve. You see this line, this curved line, this is the transition curve. Now the transition curve is at 0.55 or 55% of it. So if you scrub through, you will notice it starts from 0, notice 0 here, and then you can move it in. And now it is at 55%, and at the end it will be, of course, at 1%, okay, or 100%, sorry. So you can adjust the curve here very simply. Let's come to the middle here. And we say when the playhead is on the edit point, I don't want it to be at 55%. I want to reduce it to 20%, something like this. Okay? So now it's 20% when it's at the cut. Now notice how the curve has changed a bit. Okay, it's not perfect, but of course, because of the example, if you play it now, notice it has changed totally. In fact, on the left part is not working anymore. Okay, it starts from there. Notice there is a keyframe. Now, you also notice that within the transition, there is a keyframe over here. If you click on it, that's what we are going to see in the next lecture, how to use the curve editor to work with the transition. Now, in this lecture, I'm going to show you the keyframe editor for a transition. So you select your transition and surely you will have the diamond over here. First, let's reset our transition curve. You just can reset it from the ease over here. Notice it has reset, and if you like, you can reset the transition curve. So if you click on the diamond over here, that's a keyframe, you will be in the keyframe editor for the transition. Mind you guys, if you come to clip here, you notice that show keyframe editor and show curve editor are shaded out. You are not editing the curves or the keyframes of a clip. This is a transition. That's the only way to get over here. So now within the keyframe editor, the first thing you can do is, for example, to click on the last keyframe and just bring it in, for example. And here you are, you changed the curve. That's one way to do it. You can also add more keyframes. For example, if you come over here, and this is now at 0.280, you can add a keyframe by clicking on the keyframe just over here. So you have a keyframe here. You can come over here, for example, keyframe again, but you can change the value. I put it 0.280. Okay, and now you have a stable position. You know that. Okay, so this is the animation will be for the transition. It stops and it continues. Now there are so many things that you can do here playing with the keyframes, and it's extremely interesting. For example, if I come in the middle, somewhere in the middle in between these two keyframes just here, and I can keyframe again and give it a bigger value. Here you are. Now, if you look at the curve here is going up, down, and up. Of course, the down is going to go backward. Just to show you. Okay, so I'm adding more keyframes. You have a swing effect or something like this. Now, let's say you want to delete these keyframes. Well, you can position on the playhead and wait for it to be red over here. You have here the keyframe navigator. Let's zoom in even more. Okay, you notice there is no keyframe navigator over here at all. The keyframe navigator is just over here. You can go to the next keyframe and the previous keyframe, you know that. Then select the keyframe, and please don't press backspace or delete or something like this. You will delete the transition itself. Just click on the red diamond. This means you already have a keyframe. If you click on it, remove that keyframe. And notice it has been removed. You can go back to the navigator and remove the other keyframes the way you would like. Here you are. Let me warn you about something that is pretty interesting, by the way. I'm going to keyframe here at 0.280. Come over here. I cannot copy paste the keyframes, so I'm going to keyframe again. I will come at 0.280. So I have a stable position. So I'm very happy with this animation here. It got stable and it goes. So I'm thinking now, what happens if I use another transition? I could come to the radial wipe, click and drag and drop it here. Or I can come to video transition style and change it. So it's hard to find it here. I'm going to press R. This is radial wipe. And notice exactly what happened. The keyframes have been preserved, and now you have the same animation with a different transition. Here you are. You notice? Not bad at all. Somehow. Let's stop it over here. But now, if you pick, for example, spiral wipe, and you click and drag and drop it on the transition, you click on the diamond again, you notice everything has been reset over here. So changing the style of the transition from the inspector will keep your keyframes. Clicking and dragging will reset everything. In the next lecture, we're going to go one step ahead and use the curve editor for the transition curve. In the previous lecture, guys, I showed you how to work with the keyframe editor. And you bring it up by clicking on the diamond over here. Now, reset everything, okay? And then let's bring now the curve editor. You can bring up the curve editor by clicking on this rope here with two nuts. In fact, it's a curve with two keyframes. If you click on it, you bring in the curve editor. Now here you have two options. The first one is to see the border and the transition curve, or one of them. I'm going to remove the border and see only the transition curve. Here you are. And of course you have the keyframe navigator. Now we have reset everything. So I'm going to select the last keyframe. So point on it and just select it. It turns red. You can make it an ease out now, a nice ease out. Click on it again. Make sure that when you're trying to select the keyframe, you have the 4 arrows. Notice, this is the 4 arrows for the keyframe. Here they are. And this is 2 arrows for the transition curve. And now I can use the handle just over here. Okay, so you can push it and make it, with a very nice ease out. Here you are. Okay, I'm trying to fix it so it doesn't go out of here and you have some kind of distortion. You can also click on the curve and start moving it up and down the way you would like. Notice that you cannot move these 2 keyframes. You cannot decide, okay, this one I want it inside here. That's not possible because the transition has to complete and the transition has to start. But you can, of course, add very many keyframes. I will undo the last one, whatever I have done. And now I want to play the animation for this curve. Here you are. Very nice. Pretty cool, by the way, right? Let's stop it. Let's select our transition. I deselected it. And add a border. Now notice, when I add a border, the curve for the border has appeared. Actually, it's just a straight line because you can only put a single value. Now, if you play your animation, it has become really something beautiful. Okay? So you notice the effect of the curve here. Quite nice. Of course, it's up to you now to come and be extremely creative. Now, I will select the curve and add a new keyframe just to be very creative. And already I have some distortion here that I need to fix. For example, I bring it over here. Let's easy ease this keyframe better. If you come over here, you can use the handles. Okay, do something like this. I don't know, something you play with. And let's play now and try it if I've done something interesting. Not bad. It's okay. Not so good, in fact. Forget it. Okay, but the point is here that you can add keyframes and work on your curve the way you would like and make something very interesting. I recommend when you add a transition, come to the curve editor here, the transition curve, and then try to work it out so it becomes very smooth and exactly what you want. Now, it's easy to use the spiral, but when you play with the curve, it becomes your spiral, your style, and your technique. Let's say now you created this transition and you are very happy from it. You want to make it the standard transition for this project. You want to reuse it all over the place, or you want even to save it so you can use it in other projects. To do that, you can save this transition as a preset. All you have to do is just right click and go create transition preset. If you click on it, it will prompt you to give it a new name. I will call it Spiral Wipe Preset -1, for example. At least we have the original name and we know it's our preset. It's better to give it Spiral Wipe and something descriptive over here. Okay, like jumping project if you like. And then you click OK. Now, if you come to your video transitions and you scroll down just to the bottom, you will see user presets or user. And here is your Spiral Wipe preset. You can click and drag and put it somewhere else, wherever you like. It's working at 100%. So it's pretty easy, by the way. Now, if you don't want your preset anymore, you're annoyed from it, you can right click and say delete transition preset. Of course, it does not delete anything in the timeline, it just deletes the preset. So this is the way to save your preset and use it in this project or other projects. Your assignment for this section, guys, you might have already guessed, is to apply and customize a couple of transitions. Start from a standard transitions. Choose any you like. Open the transition curve editor and add some keyframes, create ease and adjust the handles until you have your own styled transition. But a word of caution for transitions. Only add a transition where it makes sense. Do not add transitions all over the place. It will become annoying to the viewer. Always try to be as elegant as possible when working with transitions. Thank you. I will see you in the next section.